You're listening to Morning Edition on this Thursday here on WCBU. I'm Rich Drager. The new farm bill that the U.S. House has approved faces an uncertain future in the Senate. Lawmakers remain at odds over food assistance and year-round use of ethanol in fuel. Republican Congressman Darin LaHood voted for the farm bill. In this interview with WCBU reporter Joe Deaon, LaHood says the measure was a necessary compromise.
Were there cuts to SNAP and food stamps and to some of our nutrition programs? Yes, there were minimal cuts. There were also cuts in some of the crop insurance programs and other things. It was a compromise. I always say, Joe, when I vote on a piece of legislation, I have a yes button and a no button. I don't have a perfect button. And, this was a reflection of compromise. But agriculture is the number one industry in the state of Illinois. We lead the nation in soybean production, second in corn production, number one in pumpkin production. We're number 5th in pork production. We need a farm bill. This got us across the finish line. I hope the Senate will follow our lead and pass it in a bipartisan way.
If there is bipartisan agreement on making E15 fuels year-round, which you support, why does it need to be included in a separate bill?
Well, we tried to get it attached to the Farm Bill, but we couldn't reach agreement on that, so it'll be done separately. But I think there's strong support. I know President Trump supports it. Many of my Democrat colleagues support it. It'll be great for our corn farmers. Having E15 year-round permanently in statute is going to help our corn farmers, help the environment, and have another source of alternative fuel. I have 9 ethanol plants that touch my district, several of them here in the Peoria area. This will equal more jobs, more economic opportunities, and help make the environment cleaner. That's what ethanol does. And so we got to continue to push this. I look forward to voting on it and supporting it when we get back next week.
Do you anticipate Illinois lawmakers will try again to redraw the political maps in the wake of the Supreme Court decision that changed the Voting Rights Act? It looks like Republicans could add more seats potentially.
I think all this gerrymandering is a race to the bottom. It's terrible for our democracy. You now have politicians picking their voters instead of voters picking their politician. I mean, Illinois is example number one. It's a poster child for how we should not gerrymander when you look at our map in Illinois. In some ways, Illinois started that. I'm supportive of the fair map system where you have an independent commission set up. I think all of this across the country is not good for our democracy, and I would like to see a fair map initiative put in place and a reversal of the gerrymandering that we've seen in Illinois, which makes districts very blue and very red, and we split up counties. You see that in Peoria and Tazewell. Peoria should be in one congressional district, Peoria County. Tazewell County should be in one congressional district. That's not what we have now, and so it leads to confusion, and it leads to, again, an eroding of our democratic principles.
Lastly, the president says the new White House ballroom that's being built will be paid for with private donations. Does that raise questions about undue influence with the White House? Do you think the Congress should consider public funding for the ballroom?
I'm not supportive of public funding. I think the president said he's going to raise this money privately. We got to make sure that we have proper transparency on that raising of the money, but I do not support public funding of taxpayer money doing the ballroom.
So if it's privately funded, this is still a public facility, though. Does that pose a problem? And do you think the ballroom is really needed?
Well, that's what I say is we need transparency, and we need accountability, and we need a full listing of who's giving money and how it's going to the bottom. We do that when we do presidential inaugurations, for instance. Either a Democrat or Republican, that is funded privately, and we know where every nickel and dollar comes from for our presidential inauguration. We should have that same process of full transparency for the ballroom.
How concerned are you that this process has already started before there was any congressional ask?
Well, again, I don't think federal taxpayer money should be used for this. I know that was brought up after the correspondence shooting that happened. That's not something I'm supportive, but what I am supportive of is full transparency and openness and shedding light on who the donors are, how much they're giving, and what that money is going to in terms of the ballroom.
That was Congressman Darin LaHood speaking with reporter Joe Deaon. And I'm Rich Drager. You're listening to Morning Edition right here on WCBU.